Most of what I'm about to say today, I heard from a couple shiurim by Baruch Simon on Torah on Tzav, this week's parsha. V'zot Torah Mincha. This is the way that the meal offerings were given. Now, the meal offerings, the minchas, of which there were various types, as opposed to the other korbanos, which were offered from livestock, from cattle, from living things, the mincha was brought from flour, mixed with oil and frankincense. And this is how it was brought. V'hirimi menu bikumtso, the Kohen will take a kometz, these three fingers, and these three fingers, this kometz, this kmitza, is put onto mizbeach. And the rest, the leftovers, the shirayim, are eaten by the kohanim, by Aaron and his children, the entire, all the kohanim. This is the Torah of the mincha of a Yisrael or a Levi, a non-Kohen, because by a Kohen there's a different set of rules. We're told, V'chol minchas Kohen kalil tiyeh lo te'achel. The mincha of a Kohen, kalil tiyeh, will be fully offered. You offer the entire things. Kalil toktar, not just the kometz, but you take the entire meal offering and you put it on the mizbeach, and none of it's eaten. None of it's eaten by the Kohanim. So a question arises, what's the difference between the Kohen of the mincha of a non-Kohen versus the mincha of a Kohen? Why just a kometz, a little bit, less than a handful, is offered up to Gavoah, is offered up to Shemayim, to Hashem, whereas the mincha of the Kohen, it's completely offered to Hashem. So the Shemi Shmuel, the Sachachav Rebbe, he explains and answers with another question, as Jews are wont to do. Why is it that the Kohanim have special clothing, the Big Day Kahuna, whether you're a Kohen Gadol, where you have 8 vestments, or you are a standard Kohen and you have 4 different types of special clothing? Whereas the Leviim, who also have avodas, of opening and closing the gates, of singing every day, the Shir Shahalvim Hayu Omer Beis HaMikdash, and of course, in the times of the Midbar, where they actually carried the Mishkan and its Kalim from place to place. How come the Leviim don't have any special garments, but the Kohanim do? So Shemi Shmuel answers, the Leviim, their avoda, their work, was bifarhesya, was chitzoni avoda. They worked with their kol, with their singing, out loud, to the entire Azara. Whereas the Kohanim, their avoda was an avoda of pnimius. It was avoda bifnim, in the Ohel, right at the entrance of the Ohel, in the Azara, in the Beis HaMikdash, hidden, concealed from the rest of the nation, from the rest of the world. The Kohanim had an avoda that was in pnimius. Now, just like a soul, a neshama, something pnimi, the most pnimi thing we can get, has a lavush, is covered with our body, so too, an avoda pnimi has to have a lavush. So the Kohen has to wear the garments that cover up the pnimi avoda. And to the point that if a Kohen does avoda without wearing the Bigdei Kahuna, the avoda is pasul. It doesn't count. He needs to be wearing the clothing. He needs to conceal that pnimius of his avoda. That's why a Kohen wears begadim and not a Levi. The Maharal explains, if you look at the letters of the name of Aaron a Kohen, Aleph, Hey, Reish, Nun, the Aleph is Alufo Shel Olam. His avoda was completely dedicated, his life was dedicated to Hashem. As we know when Moshe said, Nachnuma, which is the source of all anava, especially in the Sfarim HaKadoshim, in the Divrei Chasidus, Nachnu, me and Aaron. Aaron was one of these people who was bata legamri to Hashem. So the Aleph is Alufo Shel Olam. But the Hey, 5, Reish, 200, and Nun, 50, if you look at them, they're actually the middle letters and the middle numbers in the single digits, double digits, and triple digits. Hey is 5 in the middle between 1 and 10. It's the first middle number. The Reish, the 200, is the middle of the hundreds. 100, 200, 300, and 400. Kuf, Reish, Shin, Taf, it is the first middle letter. And the Nun, 50, again, between 10 and 100, Nun is right in the middle. Aaron was a person of Pnimius. This is what the Maharal says about Aaron. Therefore, we know Chazal say that the Ananei HaKavod, the clouds which followed us on our journey out of Mitzrayim and in the desert for 40 years, as well as the Ananei HaKavod, which took over during Yom Kippurim, and which always stood by the Beis Hamikdash. The Ananei HaKavod were B'schus Aaron HaKohen. The idea of a cloud is to cover us up, is to conceal us, is to conceal the Kedusha that lies within. Aaron and his kin were Pnimi people. And therefore, when you bring the mincha, we take the komets, just like when you bring an offering, a korban from an animal, you take just the dam, you take a little bit of the blood, because hadam hu hanefesh, it's the neshama. We take a little bit of the neshama, and we put it on the mizbeach, and we take the rest. But a kohen who's fully neshama, even his outer parts, even his body is neshamadik, he is completely pnimi, so the whole mincha goes on the mizbeach, because it's all pnimius. This is the gedula of the Kohanim, and specifically Aaron, as we see from this Maharal. And that's why it's a little bit confounding, because before we talk about general minchas kohen, we talk about the mincha of the Kohen Gadol. On the day that he is anointed. Anointed doesn't necessarily mean just when the oil is poured on his head, but b'yomim mashachoto, says Onklos, b'yoma diyarbun yate, when he becomes greater, when he becomes a master, when he becomes a leader, when he ascends to lead Am Yisrael, on that day he brings a mincha and a mincha, which is called the minchas tamid. Every day the Kohen Gadol brings this mincha, whereas a standard Kohen brings it just that one time he's anointed. But a Kohen Gadol, Aaron, and every subsequent Kohen Gadol that was anointed brings a minchas tamid every day. How can every day can he continue to be elevated? So the Netziv answers, every day he is elevated over his brethren, the Kohanim, and of course Am Yisrael, because every day a different family served in the Beis Hamikdash. The families were broken up, the Kohanim were broken up into 24 mishmaros, 24 different watches, which were broken up into a week and into a day, a Beis Av and a Beis Mishpacha. So every day there was a different person who Aaron was elevating himself over. How? By showing them about how the avoda of Pnimius really works. The Rashba explains that every morning when we wake up and we wash Nagelvasser, we wash our hands in the morning, we are Kohanim. We are doing what the Kohanim did when they entered the Beis Hamikdash. The first thing they did was wash their hands, was sanctify their hands, was purify their hands. And that's how we start off our days. We start off with the Avodah HaPnimi. Rav Mordechai Eliyahu, the former chief Sephardic rabbi of Israel, he was once asked, what if I were to take on one mitzvah, just one, what should I start with? And he said, Nagelvasser. Because if you start off your day with Kedusha, it's going to continue that way. Without it, you have nothing. Every morning we start off with a little bit of Pnimius. But of course, the Kohanim, their whole avodah was betzina, hatsnei lechet im Elokim, as opposed to the world of publicity and PR and self-aggrandization. Hatsnei lechet. This is the lesson of the Kohanim and the Minchas Kohanim. But of course, we don't want to just have tznius. As the Munkat Rebbe said, Hanistaros Lashem Elokeinu v'anilos lanu levaninu adolam. If we just have nistaros, if we're just tzina, if we keep our lives so incredibly private and to ourselves, then no one will be able to learn from us. We can't be a role model to anyone. So there has to be a certain element of the pnimius that comes out. We start off with full pnimius, and then we start to slowly bring it out from the potential into being. Where do we see this? In the beginning of our parsha, that the Kohanim did this as well. Tzav et Aaron, says Rashi, Tzav et Aaron, ain't Tzav ela lashon zirus. He has to be hastened. Why specifically by the Ola does he have to be hastened? Says Rashi, because the Ola was brought up completely to Shemayim. Nobody got to enjoy from it except Hashem. So it's kind of, sort of, it's a waste, in a sense. because we're just throwing it out completely. We're completely burning it to Shemayim. So we need a special ziruz. What is the Ola brought for? So the Midrash Tanchuma says the Ola is brought, every korban is brought for a sin. The Ola is brought for hirhure halev, for thoughts of sins, for shemets of sins. I have a taiva for a sin. At that point, we have to bring an Ola. That's the pshat way of understanding the Tanchuma. But the Majitzer Rebbe, the Divrei Yisrael, he says no. The hirhure halev are the hirhure mitzvah that didn't come into fruition. When I have a thought to do something good, when I want to go to the base of Midrash, when I have these inklings of desires, of hislavus towards connecting with Hashem, and I don't act them out. That's what we're giving an Ola for. Because we need special ziruz for those moments so that we don't come to chisar and kis, so we don't lose out, because the thoughts aren't enough. That's why when it came to the Akedah Yitzchak, when Hashem tells Abraham to commit the ultimate sacrifice, he gives him the ultimate test, the ultimate nisayon, kach et bincha et yechidecha asher ahavta et Yitzchak v'lech lecha al eretz Moriah v'ha'aleyu sham le'olah al echad ha'arim asher amar elecha. And how does Avram respond? He wakes up early in the morning, bezrizos. V'yashkem Avram b'boker v'yachavosh lecha marov v'yikach shnei rabito v'et Yitzchak beno. And what does he do? V'yivaka atzei olah v'yakom v'yelech al makom asher amar lo. He goes out and he chops wood. Ask the Majitzer, why doesn't he wait till he gets to the mountain? There's wood everywhere. There's trees everywhere. Why doesn't he cut down the tree when he gets to Har Moriah? And it'll be much easier for me. He doesn't have to carry around the Ola wood. Why does he wake up in the morning 3 days before the actual Akedah happens and cut up some wood? Explains the Majitzer, because he was super spiritually charged at that moment when Hashem told him to take that dive and make the ultimate sacrifice to him and in his avodah to Hashem. He was ready to do it, and he was thinking about doing it, but he didn't want to lose that moment. So right away, he wakes up in the morning, before the sun rises, and he starts the action. He cuts down those trees to concretize the thought. And we know, like, this is a business coach 101. I hear business coaches say it all the time. If you have a thought, an idea for a business system, a promotion, a marketing, anything. When you have a business thought or idea, if you don't act on that idea right away, within the first 24 hours, you're not going to act on it. You can forget it. You can dream all you want, but it's not going to come to fruition. And you're going to be dreaming about being a millionaire as opposed to being one and becoming one and getting started off on that road. And so the Kohanim are told, Tzav et Aaron, you have your pnimius, you have your machshavas, you're thinking fully about Hashem. Ziruz. Get to it. Bring out that pnimius. Haniglos lanu l'Hashem Elokeinu hanistaros l'Hashem Elokeinu v'haniglos lanu v'neinu ha'olam. Show the masses how it's done. Wake up, wash your hands, get completely involved, turn your body into pnimi. Show that your soul is the ikar and your body is just clothing, and you are your soul, and then bring out your soul. And Pesach, which is coming up, is that avoda, is the avoda of pnimius. As we're told in the Mishnah, Chayav Adam liros es atzmo ki'ilu hu yatsa miMitzrayim. Every time we're not just celebrating the past, we're celebrating ourselves. This moment, a very personal geula, a personal redemption. We're getting out of our mitzarim. We're breaking our shackles and coming out. As it says, Bavur ze asa Hashem li b'tzeisi miMitzrayim. Right? I have my personal geula. And then we have the 49 days. We have Shir Sa'omer, which are about bringing that out, bringing out that pnimius, about doing what it takes to be Mekabel the Torah, to actualize God's will and our role in being God's ambassadors in this world. Like the Lekach Bal Libuv says, when we sing Echad Miyodeya, when we think about the number one, it's a test. After we've gone through this, and we've gotten to the core, the pnimius of things, we're being tested. What do you think about when you hear the number one, Hashem? What do you think about when you hear the number two, the luchos, and so on? And it's the same thing in Rosh Hashanah when we have the simanim in front of us and we say the brachos about gezer, she'igzor dinenu. What are we thinking about? Let's get to the pnimius of each inyan, just like Aaron is the pnimius. Pesach is getting us ready for the pnimius and then to bring it out with Sfiras Omer so we can come to Kabbalas Torah. The Ish Kodesh says, going back to the Akedah, the Ish Kodesh says, on the third day, Avraham saw the cloud over the mountain, and he knew which mountain was Har Moriah, was Har Abayis, was the resting place of the future base of Mikdash, of the Even Ashtia where the world was created. But this wasn't a physical cloud, because Yishmael and Eliezer, they didn't see it. It wasn't a physical cloud. It was a spiritual cloud. And if it was a spiritual cloud, asked the Ish Kodesh, why is it that only on the third day did Avraham recognize the cloud? Why didn't he see it from far away? So he explains that he had to continually and continue to actualize his thoughts of Avodas Hashem and continue to concretize it until he brought out the thoughts, the plans that Hashem had, the machshavos tovos that Hashem had, that Hashem wanted to provide for Avraham, the shefa that he wants to rain down on him. He had to bring that out because Hashem had a machshava, but it wasn't brought out until Avraham brought out his machshavos of avoda. We act out our pnimius, we act out our good thoughts, and we bring out God's good thoughts, and we draw them out and down into this world. As the Nesiv Shalom says in many places in his writings, he says that everything that God rains down on us is Tov. It's all Gashmi. It's all Geshem. Geshem is always Chesed. Hashem is always raining down on us good things, but sometimes it gets tainted when it comes down into the atmosphere. It becomes acid rain because we didn't do a good enough job of bringing out the machshava of what God intended and bringing out to Elapoel to actualize and be something good for us. That's our job. We turn ourselves into a pnimi kli, and then we bring out the machshavos, those hirhure mitzvah, and we bring them out like the Kohanim did. Then we achieve the true geula that Hashem has in mind for us. That we will succeed in leaving our state of external, of chitzonius, and enter into our pnimius, and then take that pnimius out, so that we can in turn discover and actualize the machshavas and the plans that Hashem has for us to bring geula b'meiri Yameinu. Good Shabbos and Chag Sameach.